Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this licensing panel virtual meeting this afternoon. We will begin with a round of introductions. I'll start with myself. My name's Councillor Amanda Pinnock. I'm chair of the panel. Councillor Sokal?
Yeah, I'm a councillor, so-called member of the panel, Greenhead Ward Councillor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Gregg?
Thank you, Chair. My name's Adam Gregg, councillor for the Lindley Ward.
Thank you. Legal representative?
Good afternoon. Thank you, Chair. My name's David Stickley. I'm a solicitor. I work for the council. I'm here to give any legal advice to the panel if they require any.
Thank you. The licensing officer?
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Mike Skelton, licensing officer for Kirklees Council.
Thank you. We have the applicants here, Miss Mara and Mr. Tahani Jones.
Here.
Thank you. Mr. Jones?
Here.
Thank you. And we have a number of objectors, so I'll go through them. So, Miss Labinska? Would you say here? Okay. Miss Morley?
Yes, I'm here.
Is that Miss Labinska?
No, Morley.
Thank you. Mr. Morley?
He's had to. I'm going to represent him. He's had to go into work for an emergency.
Okay, thank you. I'll just amend my records. Okay, Miss Donkersley?
Yep, here.
Lovely. So we don't have Miss Labinska, is that correct?
I can see her online, Chair. Miss Labinska, can you unmute your microphone?
Hello, is that better?
That's
Lovely.
better, yeah.
Thank you.
Actually, I can't hear you very well.
You can't hear me very well.
No.
Are you able to turn up your machine?
I'm at. Can you hear me? Can you hear me okay?
We can hear you very well. Are you able to turn your speakers up?
It won't go any higher.
Right, okay. So I guess we'll all try and speak up then so you can hear everything that's going on. Okay.
Chair, can I just ask you to confirm we have a Daniel Howard as a guest, but I don't seem to have him on my register. Can you just confirm?
Okay. Mr. Howard?
That's my partner, Anne-Marie Donkersley. That's my other half.
Right.
Okay.
He's here.
Is he intending to speak or be involved in the process?
If need be, we weren't aware that he was allowed to speak. We were told that he could hear what was going on, but we didn't know whether he'd be able to speak.
Okay. Can I get some clarification on that, please, licensing officer? Sorry, legal representative. Is Daniel Howard able to speak and participate?
It might be something that you want to speak to the licensing officer about. Generally, the rules would be that if you want to participate, you have to make your representations within a certain amount of time. So it may be the case that the licensing officer can clarify the role of Mr. Howard.
Mr. Skelton, are you able to do that?
Yes, Chair. I was under the impression that Mr. Howard was Miss Donkersley's partner, but the representation only came in from behalf of Miss Donkersley, so it was just her name that was solely on the representation. So I suggested to her that whilst her partner could hear what was going on at the hearing, because he hasn't actually made his own representation in his own name, then the likelihood is he would not be able to participate, and everything would have to go through his partner.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. All right, so just to confirm to everybody who's here today that this meeting is being webcast and recorded, and because people are on Teams rather than a telephone attendance, when I ask you to speak, could you please unmute yourself so that you can speak or respond or engage in the process? And once you finish speaking, can you please put yourself back on mute, please? Okay, I will probably remind people as we go along about that, just so the process can be quite smooth. Okay, so I will now go through the agenda to begin with. And just to confirm that this morning at 11 o'clock, myself and my two colleagues, along with the licensing officer, visited 1 Concord Street, Honley, so that we could have an opportunity to view the premises in light of the application which we will consider in relation to agenda item 7. So we will come to that. But in terms of the agenda, just to go through things very quickly. So minutes of the previous meeting that happened on the 6th of July. I was present and Councillor Gregg was present. Are you able to confirm that that's a true reflection, Councillor Gregg, of that meeting?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I can confirm. Thank you.
Thank you. Any interest to declare, Councillor Sokal?
None, Chair. No.
Thank you. Councillor Gregg?
No, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Admissions of the public. This is a public meeting which is taking place on Teams. Any deputations or petitions?
None received, Chair.
Thank you. Any questions from the public?
Again, Chair, none received.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll launch straight into item 7, which is in respect of an application for grant of premises licence under the Licensing Act in relation to premises at 1 Concord Street, Honley, Home Firth. Can I begin by asking the licensing officer, please, to outline the application? Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, Chair. So the licensing department on the 7th of September of this year received an application for the grant of a premises licence for the premise at number 1 Concord Street in Honley. The application was made by the company Hooley House Limited, and a copy of the application, including the plans, can be seen at Appendix A to the report. The licensable objectives applied for by the applicant were as follows: live music, indoors only, Sunday through to Thursday from noon up until 9:30 p.m. and on a Friday and a Saturday from noon up until 10:30 p.m. Recorded music indoors only, which was every day of the week from 8 a.m. up until 11 p.m. at night. The performance of dance on a Thursday and a Sunday from noon up until 9:30 at night, and the on-sales of alcohol Sunday through to Thursday from 10 a.m. up until 11 p.m. and on a Friday and a Saturday from 10 a.m. up until midnight. It was during the initial stages of the consultation period that one of the ward councillors commented that he would prefer if the applicant followed the opening times that was specified as a result of a planning application from October 2019. The planning decision notice, which includes these restrictions, can be seen at Appendix B. And if I can just sort of add to that, Chair, whilst I have pretty much zero experience of matters relating to planning, I understand that that planning application was for a change of use, so a change of classification from what it was originally, which I think was something like an office or a retail unit, to that of a bar and restaurant. And that planning application was made by the owners of the building and not the applicants that we have for the licence with us today. And I also understand that it was part of that planning consultation period where the council's environmental health team asked for these restrictions to be placed on the licence, on the planning application if it was approved. So that's at, as I said, that's at Appendix B, and it's points 7 through to 9 on that decision notice that refer to those conditions that were asked for. Thank you. So the applicant was unaware of these restrictions and as such agreed to mend their application for the premises licence, so it followed the planning hours. So the applicant also agreed to restrictions that were placed on that planning application when it came to outdoor use. The revised hours that licensable activities are to take place are now as follows. In terms of live music, there was no change. Recorded music changed on a Sunday to Thursday from 8 a.m. up until 10 p.m. at night. But there was no change to the performance of dance. In terms of the sale of alcohol, that changed on a Sunday through to Thursday from 10 a.m. up until 10 p.m. and on a Friday and Saturday from 10 AM up until 11 PM. The council's planning team, in their capacity as a responsible authority, initially made representation. However, this was subsequently withdrawn once the application was amended so that it ran in line with the planning hours granted back in 2019. Also in their capacity as a responsible authority, the council's environmental health team asked for some conditions to be applied to the licence should it be granted. The applicant has agreed to those conditions, and the requested conditions can be seen at Appendix C. 7 representations were also received from members of the public. Those representations consider that the following licensing objectives would not be met should this licence be granted. Those being public safety, the prevention of crime and disorder, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. And a copy of those representations can be seen at Appendix D. And if I can just also add, Chair, after the objection period, the consultation period had actually finished, did receive contact from a further local resident asking if their representation had been received, and it hadn't. And the reason why it hadn't was because, unfortunately, they sent it to an email address that that ultimately just did not exist. So whilst it was acknowledged that that representation was made in good faith, and had it been submitted correctly, would have been received in time, contacted the applicant, consulted with them, and they were happy for that to be included as part of the hearing today, which of course they didn't have to do, but they did. It's not part of your bundle. The bundle and everything was all done prior to this contact made, but I understand that you do have that as a separate document should you deem it appropriate to refer to it. Thank you very much. Chair, you're muted.
Thank you. Sorry about that. So we'll move to questions to the licensing officer regarding the application. I have a few questions. So I can see from the application that there's been a revised version of what was originally proposed. And recommendations were made by planning, which were then obviously retracted because changes were made to the application, and also environmental health. I just wanted to ask about the ward councillor. So you mentioned the ward councillor in the documentation about what the preference would be. Have we heard anything else from the ward councillor since those amendments have been made?
No, Chair. The initial sort of contact from that particular councillor was alerted us to the fact that there were these planning restrictions on there, because I certainly wasn't aware, and as I've just sort of said, the applicants weren't either. The ward councillor hasn't sort of said anything else other than you know, if those hours are followed, then you know, happy with that. The other ward councillors didn't come back with anything at all. So that particular ward, the ward councillor that did say something, didn't come back with anything sort of additional on top of that.
Thank you. I want to understand a little bit more about the outdoor area. There isn't much detail in the paperwork about that. Safe to say that planning seemed to sort of indicate that they're content with it as long as there is a limited period, and likewise for environmental health. Could you sort of provide us with any more detail about how it works in respect of the outdoor area?
If you look at the plans that were submitted along with the application, the applicant, unbeknown to them at the time, have included that as part of the licensed area, which is perhaps something that you certainly want to consider. The applicant was under the impression that should someone wish to sit outside of any pub or any bar, regardless of where it is, and have a drink, that had to be licensed, which of course it doesn't. The consumption of alcohol is not a licensable activity. So my understanding of what the applicant wishes to do at the moment is to sort of renovate, if that's the right word, that outdoor area to include a seating area, which I believe is in the form of a deck, and that is currently with the planning department at the moment for approval. From a licensing perspective, that outdoor area absolutely can be used. It doesn't have to be licensed. It just depends if any conditions are imposed as to what that outdoor area can be used for, and any times that outdoor area can be used for. So what we've technically got at the moment is permission, if that's the right word, for that outdoor area to be used up until 9 o'clock at night by customers, and then everyone sort of back in the premise after that time.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you. Councillor Sokal?
Thank you, Chair. I just want to ask the question about sale of alcohol, where you say time closing 10 to 2200 hour or 2300 hour. Is that time is the last order, or is a closing time of the premises?
I would suggest on that side that from a licensing perspective, that's when licensable activities cease. So that premise cannot sell alcohol after that time. We've kind of touched on consumption not being licensable, but that may be something that the applicant can expand on in terms of what are their plans when it comes to quiet dispersal of customers. Do they have an intention of actually stopping selling alcohol prior to the 10 o'clock or 11 o'clock?
Yeah.
Because that was the planning. What we've got to bear in mind is that was the planning restriction. The opening hours close.
It's a closure. Yeah.
At 10 Sunday to Thursday, or at 11 from Friday to Saturday.
Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Pleasure.
Councillor Gregg, have you got any questions?
Thank you, Chair. I don't have any questions for the office, so thank you.
Okay, so I'll move to other attendees at this panel meeting. So the applicants, do you have any questions for the licensing officer at this stage?
None from us, no.
Thank you. Any of the objectors? Ms. Labinska, any questions at this stage?
No, I haven't.
Ms. Morley?
No, I haven't.
Lovely. And Ms. Donkersley?
No, none from us, thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so let's move on to the applicant then. So Miss Mara and Mr. Tahaney Jones, are you representing yourselves, or do you have a representative here speaking on your behalf?
We're representing ourselves.
Lovely. Okay, so can I ask you then to outline your application, please?
Okay, well, basically we wanted to look into opening like an Irish bar stroke restaurant. We're both half Irish, so this is something we've always kind of like looked into doing. The space itself, it basically has 6 areas. 5 of them would be bookable dining areas and 1 bar area. So basically we'd have like a traditional Irish look in there. That's what we're planning to do. So within there, we were originally planning to have like the original floorboards polished and things like that, but we've decided to go with carpet throughout. Hopefully that will help with any noise. We'll be offering a range of traditional Irish foods, including fresh seafood menus, and a variety of Irish drinks, but also including some local ones that people have come to us about. We've been approached by many local businesses to sell their products, and we're basically happy to do so because we want to make it more of a community thing, you know, where we can work alongside local suppliers. And we will be offering breakfasts, lunches and evening meals. We do plan to book live music acts, but of Irish stroke music, folk music, but like acoustic, and obviously indoors only. We'll be looking to employ local people also when needed. We're just looking to kind of create just a nice, friendly atmosphere that people can come in, not be worried, you know, just relaxed and just have something nice to eat, maybe a bit of live music, obviously not all the time. And that's basically what we're looking for.
Is there anything further you want to add at this stage?
No, fine for now. Yeah.
Okay, just making a note of things of what you've said there. So I have a number of questions, and I'm sure my colleagues do too. So I want to understand a little bit more about yourselves as applicants. So could you sort of tell us a little bit more about your background? You know, have you ran a business like this before? You know, what experience do you have of this? And how you see, you know, it progressing going forward?
Well, I mean, the business for both of us is Alison's in sales engineering, and it's a very hard, stressful job, and she wants to come out of it basically. So we've been looking for a place for the last 12 months now, haven't we?
Yeah.
And this just came up. I'm a builder by trade. My body just about had enough of it. I've got osteoarthritis everywhere, so I've been involved with pubs most of my life. A lot of regeneration on pubs with Kirklees Council over the last 3 years, and conservation work on them. And it's just something that we both just want to put the rest of us, you know, life into now, you know.
Okay, so can I ask about clientele then? So in terms of custom, where the customers do you think are likely to come from? Will it be customers from the locality, or is it likely from, you know, wider Kirklees?
At the moment, as Facebook page, we've got over, is it 500 followers now?
Something like that.
Yeah, and 500 likes. A lot of the people are local who have joined us page. A lot of them are local businesses that, you know, messages all the time, you know, constantly when you're opening. Can't wait to come. We've got a lot of the staff from the pub over the road adjacent to us that can't wait to finish work and then come over, you know, for something different. So, I mean, really, it's all local people that have been involved with us. I mean, we've one of the bar staff we've just took on is 17. That's just doing music. She's local. She's from Firth, so that's probably it for now.
Okay, all right. I mean, an obvious question I want to ask is around, you know, several objectors have expressed concerns about, you know, your proposals. And the question about clientele was really to try and extract information from you around things like, you know, where are the customers going to come from, how that might impact the area. So there's talk about parking, although it's not necessarily a licensing consideration, but, you know, health and safety, you know, public nuisance, prevention of crime and disorder, and so on and so forth. So are you able to sort of take us through, you know, some of those things? How do you propose to address those things?
On the parking, well, there is local parking, which highways, they have been out and they've been quite good with it. You know, they're happy with it as highways. There's local bus routes there. You know, there is a good taxi service. So, and we're not focusing on people from outside that area as much. It's more a local, you know, environment that we really want to go for.
But if people do decide to travel there,
yeah,
drive there, you know, how, I mean, some of the objectors talk about, you know, the parking situation, the highway situation, the safety of it all. You know, we have visited today, and there seems to be limited, you know, scope for parking and pavement and so on.
Yeah.
So are you able to comment on that?
Well, I mean, it's a busy place. I mean, a lot of people that live in Honley have more than one car. I mean, we wasn't able to work last weekend because of locals have totally blocked our driveway last weekend.
We don't know if it will work.
Well, the cars have been there for more than 3 days, and I mean, the car park seems to be sufficient enough. And I know when we've been out on a Thursday and a Friday and a Saturday night round there, it's been quite, you know, steady away, you know, with no issues whatsoever. I mean, the Allied up the road seemed really busy on what, Thursday?
Yeah, Friday.
Friday. On Friday, and then Pandium round the corner. You know, it's from what we've seen with the rest of the places. You know, there doesn't seem to be much of an issue there. You know.
If I can go through some of the points put forward by some of the objectors. Obviously, the information we have, the names are redacted, so we don't necessarily know who they are or necessarily where they live. But, you know, they have indicated that they have concerns. So one of them talks about the outdoor area.
Yeah.
And the length of time that's been proposed for the outdoor area and the public nuisance that might cause with music, with people spilling out onto the street. Any comments on that?
Well, I mean, from the music side of it, we've asked for the music license for 7 days a week, not to play music 7 days a week. It's there because we need that license in place in case we just want to put music on a Monday instead of on a Friday. You know, it's not there, so it's on from 10 in the morning until we shut on the night. And from the music point of view, because there is a lot of concern over it, you know, we are just going to be going for, you know, acoustics. Like Alison said earlier on, we're going to be insulating all the floors. There's going to be carpet going down instead of wooden floors now. We're even considering changing the glass to triple glazing on the front of the building now. So, you know, all the concerns that have been, you know, put in, you know, we're not sat back just going, oh no, forget about that. You know, we're trying to address
work with it.
everything, you know, and try and make sure, you know, if we do have to change, yes, we're going to have to change. Yeah.
So I think this particular resident is talking about, obviously, the seating area, the doors being open. People might be out smoking. They might bring their drinks outside with them, and the public nuisance that, in their opinion, is likely to be caused.
Yes. Yeah.
Well, obviously, we're going to have like notices out there to respect, obviously, the neighbours, things like that. We will be going out and checking. Yeah. We're not going to just leave them to it because, obviously, you know, you know, they will probably have glasses and things like that. But we were thinking maybe anything outside would have to use plastic glasses. You know, but obviously keep checking on that, doing a time check and make sure that, you know, do keep the noise down.
I mean, personally, from our point of view, from owners, you know, we don't want to be going outside every 2 minutes. So, I mean, we are open for change.
Yeah.
Even if somebody turns around and says, on a weekend, can you shut your outside area at a different time? You know, we're quite open for that change because to us, you know, we want a nice, friendly family place, relaxed. You know, plus a restaurant. We don't want people in, you know, that falling all over, that we're having to go outside and pick them up. It's not what we're going for.
We're not going for like the sale of alcohol pops or all that kind of thing. We are kind of, you know, we are going, what's the least bottle price of wine?
We're not selling, we're not selling bottles. You know, a lot of stuff's going to be on draft. We're going to be selling bottles of wine. We're going to be selling expensive whiskies and expensive spirits. You know, just to try and get away from that market of, you know, alcohol society. You know, so, you know, we are thinking about every aspect of it. You know, totally.
Another resident talks about, you know, I guess you just sort of alluded to that unruly behaviour, people being drunk and disorderly. You know, what's your response to that?
Well, his response to that is yes, we're creating an Irish pub, and to a lot of people, you know, that'll have an image, and it does have, but we're only trying to create an Irish pub. That's that, the feel of an Irish pub inside, which a lot of people do like if they have been to Ireland or if they've been to a good one over here. You know, we are going to be selling lobsters, oysters constantly, you know, and it's the image that we're going for, yeah. You know, we don't want people in, you know, drinking at 10 o'clock in the morning.
The bar area is quite small, to be honest.
You know, as bar area is very, very small, because we need to allocate the rest of the pub, you know, for eating and, you know, and for people that want to come sit down with the families. So, yeah.
Okay, just bear with me a moment. So one more question, because I know my colleagues will be eager to ask questions too. So I want to know about the music that you'll be playing. So you say you'll be playing acoustic music, but there's also dancing in your application.
Right, dancing's there for just in case we have one of those one-off, you know, because Alison's mum, she does a lot of Irish dancing, and it's just maybe once a year that might happen.
Like set dancing, not anything.
It's not
like pop dancing or anything like that.
It's just occasionally if we have a special day on, or
like St. Patrick's Day maybe.
Yeah. And you know, all the locals, you know, no matter what we do, everybody will be advised, you know, on what we got to plan, you know, because it is the right way of doing it. So that is just there for that one-off occasion.
We need it.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to move to my colleagues now. Councillor Sokal.
Thank you, Chair. My question is very small to the applicant. Yeah, the outside area, the area outside is outdoor area. It's very small area. It's not right on the corner. There might be some lot of residents walking around with children, parents with their children. So if the people take the drink out on there, you know. And plus, there might be some your customer who need some smoking time. They might be mixing up with the outdoor area there. So it might be the area might be not big enough for those your customer. What do you think about that? How you control smokers out there and how you control the drinkers there? Thank you.
Yeah. Well, ideally, you know, we really don't want people drinking outside. I mean, the area is mainly going to be for people that want to sit outside and have the breakfast or have the dinner. You know, I'm an ex-smoker, so I'm dead against smoking, no matter what. It's a pet hate now of having to pick up people's cigarettes, and you know, if I can get away from it, you know, I won't have any smoking on the decking, you know, because we will be serving food there. You know, the area's really for, we need a decent bin store outside that's kept neat and tidy. You know, it's not that good to look at the moment. But then on top of it all, you know, if it's a nice sunny day, somebody might just want to have the breakfast outside or have the dinner outside. You know, it's not, you know, purposely there so we can sell alcohol and people can take it outside, because once again, we've then got to manage that, you know, and it's something that we really don't, you know, want to do, you know, manage people out on the street. So, I mean, it might even come to where we physically don't open the outside area until, we shut it at 6 o'clock, you know, so, you know, we stop that happening. But, you know, it is there so we can have it looking nice and so people can eat outside.
Have the option.
Right, thank you, Chair.
And Councillor Gregg.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, thank you for the opportunity to ask a couple of questions just regarding obviously what the applicants have said so far. Obviously, it's been stated that it's steady away, I think was the word in Honley on an evening. I do somewhat agree with that, and I think that the concern is that anything new to distort that would be obviously the major concern for the residents with the noise, etc. And I'm sure you agree that it'll be in the interests of your business to get this right from the outset, so that you're in a situation where the authorities don't have to take enforcement action. The environmental health have done some well, it looks a really good report on the conditions, which obviously have to be met with goodwill by the applicants like yourself. In terms of the actual building, can I ask, you said you've got 5 bookable areas and a bar area. Are the bookable areas seating, just individual tables, or are those going to be booked for parties, or what are the, could you just expand on the 5 bookable areas?
We've got a room upstairs that'll seat a family of 12. We've got another room that'll seat a family of 6 upstairs. Then we've got another room that is going to seat 2 people, and then we've got the cellar that'll seat 12 people again downstairs.
And the room across.
Okay. Thank you. And can I ask, presumably is downstairs where the live music, the acoustic music, which I presume would be amplified as well as being acoustic, is that going to be on the?
No. Well, we've been talking about this, and the only amplifier we're going to need is for when we have a singer in. So with the music side of it, it's all just going to be played normal, natural. You know, people just sat down.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting. So in terms of the speakers, then you've said that you're going to place them sort of strategically so they don't filter outside. And obviously one of the conditions as well is, I think, LC4 of the environmental health conditions is that you keep the windows shut.
Yeah.
How are you going to manage that in terms of it's boiling hot in summer? Really, really difficult to keep your windows shut when it's really hot weather.
I mean, the music it'll have to be kept down to an absolute low of maybe one singer, you know, with a guitar, and that's that. So I mean, it's whatever we have to do to and comply is, you know, is what we have to do basically. So I mean, it's, you know, if we can't have the singers on, we can't have them on. Yeah. You know, so it's, to us it's just straightforward. Yeah.
Thank you. And just one final question, if I may. The time of obviously your activities, I know a lot of the other premises in Honley tend to circle around early evening activity. Do you envisage yourself being the same? And in terms of obviously children that live nearby in residential houses, I think we've had a mention of this in one of the respondents. But with regards to sort of the trading times, on a later in an evening, in terms of, would you envisage what your peak hours would be, and how do you envisage sort of your place in Honley fitting in with the other establishments in terms of timescales, etc.?
Well, hopefully we can work, you know, roughly to the same timescales as the rest of the places, but we still have been limited because we're probably, I think we're an hour away from everybody else now. So like with Pan Young, we have to shut an hour earlier than what they do. The what's it over the road now? That new bar.
Quince
over the road. That they stay open an hour later than us. The Allied up the road, they stay open, take an extra hour and a half.
I'm not sure exactly.
After us and all. So I mean, we will be shutting earlier than anybody else in Honley.
Thank you for that. Thank you, Chair.
Chair, you're still muted.
Yeah, I think my internet access went a bit awry there. Sorry about that. I didn't get to hear the last bit of that there. There was just one thing I wanted to ask, I think, before I move on to allowing the objectors to ask any questions. The environmental health, their report has given a list of things that they recommend that you should implement if we agree to the license as it's as the application has as you proposed. What I sort of want to understand is that I want to kind of be sure that you understand what the recommendations are from environmental health, especially around LC7, So no loudspeakers used to relay singing, speeches, amplified music.
Yeah.
Yeah, and also LC1, where it talks about, you know, amplified, non-amplified music, singing, speeches, etc., and the levels that are recommended.
Yeah.
So you're familiar with that, and
Yes,
there's no issue with the recommendations that have been made here.
No.
Well, we will
Okay.
test as well. We'll keep testing as well to make sure it's not going to go any above any decibels and things like that. So we will be doing tests on things like that.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to move on to the objectors. I can see a few raised hands. One of the raised hands is Daniel Howard, but my understanding is that Daniel isn't in a position to participate, but his partner can. So Anne-Marie Dunkersley, are you able to ask the question on Daniel's behalf?
I am, yes. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you clearly.
Lovely. I just wanted to go back to a point that you made about the clientele that you might be expecting. You've been advertising as an Irish pub. So I was just wondering, are you going to be an Irish pub that serves food, or are you going to be a restaurant that has a bar?
It's going to be a restaurant that has a bar, and the reason why it says Irish pub on is because the people that's done all the designs for us and everything, they actually did it, and it was a mistake where it should have said Irish bar on it. But because of all the signs that we had done, which had already done, and they've all been made, we've spent £5,500 on them. You know, it's a lot of money to, you know, go get another, you know, batch of them done. Yeah.
I understand that. It's just
it is an honest mistake, is that? It really is on it. And I know a lot of people have been asking this, you know, quite a lot. You know, are you going to be a pub? And we've all said from day one, no, we want to be a restaurant with a bar.
Right.
It's got an Irish look. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Can I just ask as well, regards to the live music, where will that be taking place? Is it in the main body of the building or in your side extension?
It all depends, because until we've fully had it fitted out, so until the carpets are down, we've got it all fitted out. We'll be doing sound checks, and if it is too loud in one section of the building, we're going to have to put it into another part of the building and check it once again, because we do know it's a concern, which is why, you know, it's going to be acoustic. You know, we're not going to be having big loudspeakers on. You know, plus also people are going to want to come in and eat, and
you know, without
you know, so they don't want, you know, music blaring at them. And I mean,
talk to each other.
We have stated on Facebook, I'm autistic, you know, seriously autistic, and certain music I just can't cope with anyway. It just sends me crazy. So I mean, we're not going to be having yelling, screaming people in there.
Right. And you just mentioned the outside area?
Yes.
Just one of those. When you said about the bin store,
yes,
are you planning to put the bins in that like little nook?
Yes,
where
over there, yes,
covered?
Covered over, yeah.
The only thing, like one of our concerns about that is obviously that is directly opposite our house. So with you serving seafood and stuff, where are you going to be putting all that waste? Will that go into those bins?
It'd be going away straight away, trust me. So it'd be either coming home with us or it'd be getting disposed of as soon as possible.
Right, okay. And just the other thing that you said about your hours being restricted, like Panyom and Quint and the Allied all being an hour longer than your hours.
Yes.
They've all been, you're obviously in a lot closer proximity to residents, but also they've been like long established, all of those places.
Yeah.
So even though Panyom and Quint have recently changed hands, they've been those kind of establishments already, you see. So I think the residents are just mainly concerned about the noise, the amount of people,
We
you know.
totally understand. We're not trying to, you know, disregard anybody or make anybody feel uncomfortable or, you know, have disruptions. It's not what we want. We just want people to be able to come in, relax, have some nice food, have a nice drink, you know, and maybe enjoy some music if we have some on, you know, and that's really it. We don't want to antagonize anybody or make anyone feel uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well, equally, the residents, like the ones obviously that I've spoken to as well, I mean, I can't speak on everyone's behalf. You know, we appreciate it's exciting. It's a new venture. Good. We just don't think it's suitable for a village setting. That's all. And I think that's where the concerns come. There are a lot of issues that everyone's worried about.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all from me for now. Thank you.
Thank you. Miss Morley, you've got your hand raised.
Hello, hi, yeah, like you say, when you going back to the parking issue and this outside decking area, once the gentleman mentioned about parking, that parking space is the only space they've got for deliveries, for things. Once that goes and becomes a decking area, they've essentially got no parking at all, and that decking area will look straight onto our house. And if the license is passed for the hours that they're going to say, and once conditions, if there's no conditions put in place and this gets passed in its current form, they can then play live music 7 days a week. They can have dancing. And I just think this needs to be concerned that there are residents with a baby on the way, with small children. Would you want that literally in front of your house? I just don't see. I think it's the wrong type of bar for the village. And these other places, Pan and places, they don't play live music. They're literally a restaurant. In the week, they're lovely and quiet. The village has got a really nice, quaint, quiet atmosphere. And like the other resident said, I just don't think it's the right type, live music. I see there's a piano in the window. I mean, I just don't know how this can be controlled if the council don't put strict conditions on.
Miss Morley, is there a question? Is there a direct question you want to ask?
Just about the parking. If he makes the decking area, how does he propose, where's he going to park? That's his space. He's just mentioned that he was moaning about the parking, but if he wants it to become decking, then where's his space? Where's his car parking?
Okay, are you able to respond?
Yeah. Well, I mean, we've had highways round. There's plenty of parking. There's plenty of bus alternatives for both of us if we have to do.
But we're residents, we can't park. We struggle for parking, so I don't know.
It's a big problem for Honley, but I mean, we have problems parking where we live, but
but you're proposing to give up your parking, your one space for deliveries, for things coming. You're proposing to give it up to make a decking area.
Well,
okay.
We'll have to see where we can, where else we can take it, because I mean the rest of the place in Honley, you know, they don't have any parking areas, so it's.
Okay, can I move on to the other objector who wants to ask another question? So, Miss Dunkersley.
Hiya, yeah, sorry, just speaking about deliveries.
Yeah.
Will they go in the front main door, or will they be coming in the side, like your back door that's opposite us?
It's been asked. Well, we've been asked this a few times, and we've said it can go through the front door. Yeah.
Right, because either way, I mean, I know obviously I understand that you have to have deliveries come to the property, but if big vehicles are coming, it's not only the parking issue, it's blocking residents. So while your delivery is there, so if they have to come before 8 o'clock in the morning, not only will it be a noise disturbance for residents, but it's going to block the end of our road.
Yeah. Well, this is part of the environmental health condition anyway. It's in the environmental health report, you know, regarding this deliveries.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because then you see, if you park outside our house to take them in the back, deliveries are going to have to go over the cars that are parked.
Yeah, I know this.
But also, if you park on Concord Street, so they're taken into the front, you'll be causing an obstruction for more houses.
Well, we have to get deliveries in, one way or another. Yeah.
Yeah.
The drive's not big enough to put a wagon on. So no matter what, it's going to have to park somewhere. Yeah.
Will you be bringing barrels in? Will there be
Yes,
barrels?
there will be.
Yeah.
There will be, yeah.
Where will they be stored?
They're stored in the cellar, which is at the back of the bar.
Right. Okay. All right. That's all. Thank you.
Could you just clarify something for me? You mentioned about, was it environmental health?
It is, yes.
Setting out conditions about deliveries.
Yes.
Can you just confirm what those are for me?
I don't know where it was now. We're not allowed deliveries from, I think when we spoke, I think it's 6 o'clock. I can't remember when it was now, unless we spoke about it, but we might have spoke about it. So
I'm struggling to find it unless it's in the planning.
I don't know.
Application.
The planning application.
Right, so maybe the licensing officer can help us with that. Yeah. So I want to move on to the licensing officer anyway to ask if he has any questions.
No, Chair. At this stage, I don't have any questions. I'm just scouring that planning decision notice at the moment about the deliveries. Nothing's jumping out at me.
We have spoke about it though, so.
Yeah, I can't see anything on that decision notice, as I said, Chair, that's jumping out at me. It may be something that you wish to consider as part of your deliberation, of course. Yeah,
it'd be really useful if we had that information. I think it's an important point that's been raised by the objector about how it might impact them. So maybe during our period of deliberation, we can get some clarification on that.
It might be what you were talking about for the waste bottles and glass. Are you talking about that?
No. Well,
maybe that's what you were thinking of.
It might because it's not there, is it?
No.
So.
I can only say, Chair, from a licensing point of view, there doesn't appear to be anything on the planning decision notice. I can't see anything within the conditions that environmental health are actually asking to be placed on the license. If it's a verbal conversation that the applicants have had with environmental health, then I can't comment on that any further, unfortunately.
Thank you. Maybe some of the objectors will sort of enlighten us about, the predicament there. But I'm going to move to them now. So I'll start with Miss Lubinska. Can I ask you to? Yeah. Can I ask you to unmute yourself, make representations, and then mute yourself again? What I'm going to do is allow each of the objectors to speak, and at the end of that, I'm going to give everyone an opportunity. No, in fact, I think what I'll do is I'll let you speak, Miss Lubinska. After you've spoken, I will ask my colleagues or anybody else if they have questions and then move on to the next objector, so on and so forth. I think it'd be better to conduct it that way. So can I ask you to make your representations now, please?
Yeah. A lot of what I feel has actually been said in terms of parking and noise. I know the gentleman said that it's difficult where he lives, where it parks, but I live in the village and I watch cars constantly driving past that building, looking for somewhere to park. It is a difficult problem within the village anyway, without taking the building into consideration. Also, I live up the cul-de-sac next to the building, and we have problems. Even the dustbin people have difficulty accessing the cottages up there. So as far as parking and access, it's a difficult problem before you start having lots of people coming to that building. Also, the opening hours would indicate that people are actually coming and going all day. I mean, it takes a good drinker to stop in one place for 12 hours. So people will be going backwards and forwards, and those doors are going to be opening and shutting, whether there's people going outside to smoke or not. And there's residential property so close to that building, they'll be hearing the noise all day long. And I just don't think it's a suitable place for what they're asking for, and that's all I want to say.
Thank you. I don't have any questions at this time. Councillor Sokal?
No, Chair, I haven't any. Yes, thank you.
Councillor Gregg?
No, Chair, thank you.
The applicants, have you got any specific questions for Ms. Lubinska?
No, we don't.
No, okay. Licensing officer?
No, Chair, I don't.
Probably don't. Okay, all right. So we'll move on to Miss Morley then.
Hello. A bit like what the other lady said, really. We're just a bit concerned. Unfortunately, we bought the house in December, totally renovated it. My son's having a baby, and we definitely wouldn't have bought the house if we knew that directly opposite, that there was going to be a bar offering to play music 7 days a week. We've seen the Facebook page that is asking for people to apply to come and play there. It's not specifically saying acoustic, it's saying all are welcome to come and play. I mean, if we're honest, would anyone want to live directly opposite a bar that's offering to play live music? We bought in the village of Honley because we thought it was a quaint, small, quiet village with a lovely feel. We do know there is a bit of an issue with the parking, but obviously, you know, at the time we didn't know this was going to be turned into what they're calling an Irish pub. The public nuisance is a bit of a concern because, like we say, if they're going to have the windows open, the doors open, it's going to have a massive impact on his life and his child's life. I just hope that planning are really considerate and put a lot of conditions on. Don't extend the hours to allow till 12 o'clock. I mean, we know that people aren't going to leave the premises at that time. It could go on till the early hours. And I really hope that you know, it was supposed to be a restaurant. We knew it was going to be a restaurant when we bought the property, but we didn't know it was going to be a pub. So I really hope that they consider this strongly. Live music, dancing. It's just going to be a nightmare living next to, and I just don't know how it can be controlled. I really don't. So that's all I've got to say at the moment. Thank you.
Thank you. I think I've got one question, which is around what you said about the loud music. The applicants have talked about acoustic music, and they've talked about they won't be dancing, maybe, you know, Irish dancing, maybe, you know, singing with that amplified music. What do you think about that aspect of the application? Does that change your view, or do you feel the same about things?
No, I still feel the same, because I just think that once something is passed, from going back to things that's gone on in our lives in past, once it's passed and if there's no conditions put on, it will be very hard to control and manage what they do and don't. You know, it'll be every 2 minutes ringing the council saying, oh, the music's got louder, or this has happened, or the houses are directly opposite. I think it's going to, I mean, we're talking of a really close proximity. If you visited today, you'll see how close that little row of cottages are to this bar. It's just not meant, I do not believe that bar is in the right area to be living next to residential people. I really don't.
Thank you. Councillor Sokal, any questions?
No, I haven't got any question, Ms. Chair. Yeah.
Councillor Gregg?
No questions, Chair, thank you.
The applicant, have you got any questions of what you've heard so far?
No questions.
All right. The licensing officer, I don't know whether you've got any questions.
No questions as such, Chair, but just a comment that I picked up on from Mrs. Morley there about the place being open till the early hours of the morning. There are planning restrictions on there to say that bar has to close, or that building has to close at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock, depending upon what day of the week it is. The applicants would be at risk of enforcement action from planning if they breach that. So I just wanted to just make that clear. Thank you.
Miss Morley, do you want to respond to that? Is there anything else you want to add? I think it's important that we bottom this out.
Yeah, no, I just hope that there are strong conditions and that they don't get music 7 days a week, and that you know, the dancing and the music. I think it's going to be very difficult to control whether it's amplified or it's just acoustic. I think it's one of them. I just hope there's strong conditions put on this application.
Okay, thank you. And Miss Donkersley?
Hello, yeah. We've actually got quite a lot of concerns about this. One being the noise. Even if you take the live music out of the equation, just the general noise levels. The building is very, very close to us, and with it being quite an old building, especially the side extension, although it's been done up, it's plastic cladding at one end and it's glass at the other. So trying to contain noise within that is going to be very difficult. And like you say, if doors are opening or if it's warm and windows are open, the noise is going to travel. And we've got a 2-year-old, and like you say, Mr. Morley lives next door to us. They've got a brand new baby on the way. So we're very concerned about, even if the earlier hours are kept to, it's the disruption of nighttime routines. If they're open all through the day and the seating area is granted permission, there's going to be people sat out, which can be quite intimidating. Even if there's no alcohol consumed, just loud talking, laughing, groups of people, it can be quite intimidating. And there are a lot of children that cut through our road in the morning to go to school and in an afternoon coming home. There are families that cut through to go to the park. There are older people that live up in the courtyard. So we are quite worried about the noise levels and the disruptive, the disruption that it could have. We're worried about privacy. Obviously, like you say, if you've been today, you'll have seen the little row of cottages, and the property we're talking about is raised up. So all their windows overlook our house. The decked area would overlook our house. If people are sat out or coming in and out of the property, again, that can be quite intimidating if you sat out of your own home. We've only got a little space at the front of our house, so we put our washing out, just general day-to-day activities. I don't want to feel uncomfortable in my own home. Deliveries, that was a big concern for us. Like I spoke to the applicants. Where are they going to park? I appreciate deliveries have to be made, but if they're on our road, it's going to block our access in the morning or whenever they choose to receive the deliveries. And then the deliveries will have to be taken through the parked cars. Or Concord Street, there's a haulage company that is next door, and they use that as a main access route. So if the lorries are coming in and there's a delivery wagon there, they're not going to be able to get through. And again, if the decked area is passed, that could cause an obstruction for the HGV drivers. Parking issues, people coming to the property. I'm aware that there's a car park, obviously, living there. People aren't going to use it. It's only a 4-hour stay. So how do they expect people to use that? Are they going to go out and keep moving the cars around? Because there's not only the clientele that are going to be eating and drinking at the establishment, there's all the staff. Where are they going to park? Again, they can't park in a 4-hour stay car park, and it's limited on our road. And then obviously if they're parking, they've got to get back to the property. Waste, disposing of glasses. I mentioned earlier, if they're serving seafood, we want to make sure that the bins are kept clean, everything's taken away, nothing's stored, that shouldn't be there, that's going to go off, that's going to cause, anything that we don't want to be coming around. And again, after hours, as much as the applicants can do their part, if they stick to all the regulations put on them, what happens then after hours? Are they going to be leaving at 10 o'clock? Or is, like you said, is that last orders? Are people going to be milling around waiting for taxis? Are they going to be congregating? there's going to be a lot of noise. Staff have got to come out. If they're open from 8 in the morning till 10 o'clock at night, when are they going to clean the property? Cleaners are going to be going in. There's so many things. And like I say, I appreciate it's a new venture for both of them. You know, it's exciting. It's a good idea, but it's a good idea for a town. It's not, I don't feel that it's in keeping with anything in the village, look-wise, style-wise, or what they're offering. So yeah, so that's all from us.
Thank you. Any questions, Councillor Sokal?
Chair, yeah, most of the concern raised by the objector, I think most of them is a planning issue. Planning permission has been granted. They must have looked into the parking issue and others. Yeah, the license authority. I don't think we have much power to do. Yeah, we can put some conditions. That's all. Yeah, noise and other things. Yeah, well, if there is a delivery blocking roads and other things, that's a highway. That parking planning issue. They must have put some condition on the when the planning permission was granted. Thank you.
I agree with you, Councillor Sokal, but I'm particularly interested to know the answer about deliveries, about the regularity of deliveries, where they're likely to park and so on. I think those are reasonable questions or comments raised by the objectors. So hopefully the applicant will address or respond to that. Councillor Gregg, any questions?
Thank you, Chair. No real questions, but just to really agree on that point about the deliveries. I think the point about the deliveries is a really interesting one. Given the access on Concord Street, opposite the car park entrance, there are a couple of other businesses a little bit further up on Concord Street, and the access on the side road where it's residential. It is a real issue, that, and I think that it'd be interesting to take some advice from officers on what the situation is with regards to planning and licensing, because obviously that's something we might like to hear some answers on. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Councillor Gregg. The applicants, are you able to respond to what's been said?
Yes, I think like we just said there, a lot of this is turning into planning issues, yeah, not licensing issues. So I think we're just getting ate up by two different things here at the moment. The deliveries, everybody on Concord Street has deliveries every day. So the rest of the businesses all have deliveries on that same road, constantly, non-stop, and I think that's just how it is there. I think, you know, for us personally, planning has already granted a license, you know, for a bar and restaurant. This should have been taken into consideration when they did the planning application then, and I do believe that it was taken into consideration when the planning application was done back then. You know, like we've said, you know, everything that we put in the pub, we are minimising, whether it's pop, whether it's beer, whether it's wine, whether it's food. How we do everything in there is getting minimised totally. Going back to the environmental health report, we've got restrictions on extraction. Now, they wanted us to put a ginormous extraction fan straight up to the centre of the building, out of the roof, and they're quite happy with that. Now, we've turned around and says, we don't want to do that. We're not going to be using gas appliances, and we're going to be putting specialised internal electric extraction units, because we're not using gas, so we don't need to get the gas out of the building. But as long as we filter that, now they're going to cost us nearly £4,000 for some small units. So, I mean, all I can say is we're doing our very best to answer everybody's questions, answer everybody's fears, and you know, coming up with a way of moving forward from this. But as deliveries go, you know, that's a main road that leads to back of shops that's where all deliveries end up. So I mean, if we're going to access the front of the building, you know, it's not much of an issue, and it's going to be limited to where we get one delivery a week from his main supplier, and then the rest of it we will be bringing personally. So, you know, but it's same with the food and stuff that we're doing, because a lot of it's going to be vegan, a lot of it's going to be, you know, for allergies. So what we're going to be cooking, you know, isn't going to be frozen food. So wastage on top is going to be down to a minimum. We're not doing takeout food, you know. Everything we're doing is going to be down to the bare minimum. And I mean, when we're talking about the music, you know, we've been monitoring it for the last 3 months while we've been working in there. We've had his radios on, we've been testing it. We've been testing it in different parts of the room. We've been videoing and testing noise outside the building to see which, you know, what noise we can hear. Same with passing restaurants, you know, how much smells coming from their properties. You know, we have been doing it while we've been working on there. So it's, you know, we're not leaving anything to chance with the place. And we're not sort of like turning around going, no, we want this. You know, we're turning around and going, you know,
work with you.
We're willing to work with everybody, because from our point of view, it's an awful point of view. We've put nearly £35,000 in already, and we was conned from day one into thinking we could just go in and open up. And this is a great concern of ours. You know, we wasn't told about what we should have known at this point. So it's you know, everything we're trying to work and get right, basically.
I think Miss Donkersley wants to come in, and then I think I'll draw the meeting to a close.
Yeah, fine.
Yeah, sorry, I just wanted to say I appreciate that a lot of what I just reeled off can come under the planning issues, but also I feel that a lot of those concerns will be amplified if the licence is passed. And just regarding the deliveries to the other properties and premises up that road, Punch, they have a cellar access through the car park, so they actually take the deliveries early morning through the car park. And further up, the shops that have deliveries at the back, the road widens up there, so there's no congestion, there's plenty of room to get round. It's purely the fact that that corner is not only access to the car park, it's where the HGVs come in. And obviously it's access for our road, and you're coming down a blind corner from Southgate. You know, if there's something waiting there, it's where the deliveries are. It's not the fact that they need deliveries that was our concern. But yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Right, I'm going to give everybody an opportunity to sum up. So if there's anything particular you want the panel, you want to highlight to the panel about what's already been said, then please do so. So I'm going to start with the licensing officer. Is there anything additional you want to say?
Nothing additional to really add to what people have said, Chair, other than just to perhaps state that we've had some good detailed discussion really throughout this hearing from both the local residents and the applicant. The residents have obviously expressed a lot of concern in terms of potential noise problems, access problems, but we've also heard from the applicant as well in terms of what their business model is and what their vision is for what this premises is going to be, and they've also said about what measures they're going to put in place, so hopefully the concerns of the residents don't come to fruition. We've got some very strict conditions from environmental health, probably some of the most strictest I've seen on premise licenses that I've dealt with in the 8 years that I've spent with licensing. But the options open to you are numerous, of course, aren't they? You can add any further conditions if you deem that appropriate. You can exclude certain things from the application and the license as well. And if that's a consideration, you may wish to seek guidance from Mr. Stickley when it comes to live music, certainly in terms of the deregulation of the Live Music Act from 2015. You also may want to consider the outdoor area as part of the licensed area. And I would just touch on as well, you could impose any further restrictions on outdoor use. And I note from the application that the applicant said we may use plastic glasses outside. Just to make them aware, you've put on your application to say plastic glasses will be used outside. So that's something that you will have to do. And that's it really from me. Thank you.
That's really helpful. Thank you. I'm going to move to the applicant. Would you like to sum up?
With regards to the music, really, I know we're put in for 7 days a week, but we're not literally going to have people playing 7 days a week. I don't even think we could get that many bands or acts or anything to be able to play for us. It was just a case of if somebody came to us and they said, oh, I could only do Thursday, and we could only play then we had that option instead of just having maybe like Friday or Saturday or Sunday, or so that's the only reason why we put in for those hours. And 7 days a week would literally, I don't think we'll even be able to fill it, even if we wanted to, 7 days a week of live music. So it's just to put people's mind at rest, really, that we'd mainly be looking at the probably Friday, Saturday, really, and maybe a Sunday, just a chilled out session on a Sunday.
We just have to have it in place, that's all.
But that's the only reason why we applied for it, because in case it ever did crop up that somebody could play on a Tuesday and that was it, then we'd like to have had that option to let them play for a couple of hours. And it's only going to be a couple of hours. It's not going to be 5 hours at a time or anything like that, because I don't even think acts would play for that long anyway. It could be just an hour at a time, or if indeed somebody told us that there was an old man that used to come round to a pub in Honley and he'd used to sit there and play on the piano, just have a little tinkle on the ivories type thing. So it was just in place for that reason as well. So it's just to let you know on the live side.
Thank you. So I'm going to move to the objectors now. Ms. Lubinska. Okay, we'll move on to Miss Morley. Would you like to sum up?
Yeah, I just feel that I know they're saying that if they get the license for 7 days, but I think it does need to have restrictions. It's left to interpretation. Once they've got the license and it is for 7 days, then basically they can play music for 7 days. So I think there's got to be some strict conditions, and I think the hours of opening should be as they are now and not extended any further.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry, I put myself on mute there. Miss Dunkersley.
Hiya. Basically what Mrs. Morley has just said, that's what we'd like to say as a sum up. But also, I'd just like you to consider whether you would want something like this right on your doorstep, even with the conditions that they're asking for. But yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll go back to Miss Lubinska. Are you still with us? Do you want to sum up? Okay. Right. Okay. So thank you everyone for attending and providing us with the information that we've heard today. The panel will now take the time to consider what's been said and to make a decision. Once we've reached a decision, I would ask all participants and the general public, if they have been involved in this, to watch the decision on the webcast. The decision will also be sent out to the applicants in writing. So at this stage, I would ask the council officer to take us into another room so that we can deliberate and make our decision. Thank you.
to you, Chair.
Thank you. Good afternoon again. The panel have been asked to consider the application for grant of premises licence under the Licensing Act 2003 in relation to 1 Concord Street. After listening to the information that's been provided today, the panel are minded to grant the application with the following observations. First of all, the report and recommendations made by the Environmental Health, those are to be implemented. Secondly, the outdoor area of 1 Concord Street, where licensable activity takes place, that should be curtailed as follows. The external area of the premises shall not be used by customers between the hours of 2000 hours and 0800 hours. The third condition is in respect of CCTV. We note from the application that has been made that paragraph MB talks about live internet cameras 24/7. However, that seems a little bit ambiguous to us. So what we have decided as a condition is that there should be CCTV cameras, so a CCTV camera system capable of recording any incidents of crime or disorder, so it can be preserved for the purposes of the police or any other body who's interested in details. We'd also request that the licensing officer works with the applicant to ensure that that system is reasonable and appropriate for these circumstances. The panel do have concerns about deliveries. We've heard a lot today from residents about those concerns. And obviously we've been out ourselves to have a look at the area this morning. And we would ask that the applicant take on board those issues that have been raised today and that they aim to work with residents to ensure there is as little disruption as possible. And finally, just to reiterate, it is important to remind the applicant and residents that if any of these terms are breached, that complaints can be raised with the licensing department, and that could lead to a review of the license. So it's important, it's critical that the applicant acts within these permitted activities. Thank you everybody so much for your time and attendance today, and have a lovely afternoon.